All right. We're going to go ahead and get started just because we have so much ground to cover. Great to have Kelli Finglass here today. So glad to have so many new faces. This is our 10th meeting of the year. We're the only touchdown club in America that does 15 straight meetings throughout the football season. Not sure what I was thinking, Kelli, years ago when I started this thing. Not very smart. But we're glad you're here today. Glad to have so many new faces, Rex. See a lot of new faces here. We're glad to have you here, and we hope to have you back. It's going to be a fun meeting. There's so much ground to cover with Kelli. I wish I had about 3 hours, but I don't. But the first thing, how about even though her son and her daughter went to Texas A&M, she wore the right colors today. She wore red today. Well done. Well done. So at some point, Debbie, just let me know when you want to bring out the pop-up winners for these pop-ups. We'll do that. We got it. Come on, bring them up. By the way, next week, Holly Rowe, the top sideline reporter in America for all things college football, basketball. She will be here next week, here in this room, same thing. So we'd love to have you next week. She is, and plus, I can't tell you, I can't reveal everything, but let me just tell you this. You know, she had a battle with cancer. She has a foundation that tries to honor those who are dealing with cancer, and she's going to do something very special in the state of Arkansas next week that coincides with her visit here. So we'd love to have you back in the same room next week. So Holly Rowe, you can go to lrtouchdown.com to get tickets. All right, our winners, here we go. Look at your tickets. 042123. Let me hear if you've won it. 042123. Like Price is Right, scream out. 042123. Going once. There we go, right there. There. Very nice. All right, that's one. That's one. That's one. The second one. 04. Now I know, Kelli, that Joel, your husband, is very jealous. He doesn't like anybody having pop-ups in their house except for him. Where's Joel at? Where's he at? Joel, thank you for allowing this to happen. All right. 042097. 042097. Going once. Boom, right there on front. Wow. Crane Automotive. That's right. So we'll get her to sign those. We'll get those. Yeah, we'll take care of those. Thanks to Rockstar Passes for doing that. And so great to have you here. What a fun crowd we're going to have here today, and what a fun meeting we're going to have. I want to remind everybody, too, if you missed it, did you see the T-shirts and hats and all those things for the Touchdown Club out back? Do want to thank Steve Qualls for Design Lab. Go online, order those. I'm wearing this today. This is a new Touchdown Club T-shirt. They got a lot of really cool, cool ones out there for Christmas, whatever. Go to the QR code and you can order that. Thanks to Steve Qualls for all of his effort there. I do want to say, last week we missed Renata Jenkins-Byler because her mom passed away. Great to have her back today. I know that Pigskin was the pastor for that funeral. He did our prayer, and then he went and did that funeral. He's an amazing guy, and we're so glad to have him. Kelli, so we have a pastor, the pastor of the Touchdown Club, called the Pigskin Preacher. And so that's what he does. Sometimes we just keep our fingers crossed that he doesn't say anything offensive, but that's okay. We love him nonetheless. Let's give it up for her man, Chuck Monan from Pinnacle Church of Christ.
I had 17 things to say, but RJ told me shut up and pray, so that's what we'll do. Father, we're thankful for the food. We're thankful for the wonderful day that you've allowed us to wake up to see. We're thankful for the hint of fall in the air, for the game of football, for the enjoyment that everyone takes. Father, we pray that you be with our speaker and her charges, that you bless them in special ways. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Yes, that's perfect, Chuck. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, I do. Occasionally I will get an email or text and say, that pastor needs to shut up at the Touchdown Club. I said, we love him. We love him no matter what. We love him no matter what. We want to remind everybody to mute your phones if you can right now. If you want to, if you've got somebody that's not here with you that wants to listen, there's several ways to do this. 1037 The Buzz is going live. You can go to their Facebook, our Facebook page, Twitter, YouTube account. It will be live there on the 100,000 watt 1037 The Buzz. You got Arkansas PBS live. You got our Touchdown Club YouTube page live, Facebook, Twitter. Kelli, we're the only Touchdown Club in America that streams our speakers live every week, so we're really thankful to have that. But if you can, mute your phone if you don't mind. Great to have everybody here. I want to thank our great sponsors. First of all, Simmons Bank. We've got Jay Brogdon, who is the incoming CEO, George Macris, who helped take us to the next level after Lunsford Bridges is with Metropolitan, but he's retiring in January. And Jay Brogdon, who is, what are you, 45, Jay? 45 years old, 6'6", played basketball at Harding, super stud. Looking forward to working with you to help continue to raise the bar for us. So glad to have you here today. And David Stocksdale. David, we've had you here almost every week. Not every week, but we've had you here quite a bit over the years. So don't forget, you've got the Simmons Bank Championship over at Pleasant Valley Country Club. It's going to be amazing. The Buzz will be broadcasting 3 live shows there, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll be out there all week. So we've got the best, Kelly, we've got the best presenting sponsor in America. Let's give it up for Simmons Bank if we can. Also want to thank our other great sponsors. Stevens, Curtis Jeffries is here today. Of course, they're also the presenting sponsor of the Simmons Bank Championship that begins this week. You got the caddy shootout tonight with lights on the golf course. And then, of course, everything starts Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Curtis, thanks for your support of the Touchdown Club. We appreciate you and all the fine folks at Stevens and Warren Simpson, Kurt Bradbury, Warren Stevens, who's busy doing other very important things, but we appreciate Stevens. Crane Automotive, couldn't do it without Crane so much. Appreciate Crane. They've been with us for so many years. Christian Crane and Chris Crane, the largest dealer group in Arkansas, 19 dealerships. Appreciate you guys. You guys are always here every week. We appreciate you. Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, of course, the Cliff Harris Award, Kelly. This is what we do in honor of, you know Cliff, NFL Hall of Famer. We do this award every year, and the Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings firm is the presenting sponsor of that. One of their outstanding attorneys and partners is here today, Jamie Moss. She helps businesses handle tough commercial litigation and disputes. She's a native Texan, proud Dallas Cowboy fan, and even a bigger fan of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. She's a graduate of Baylor, University of Arkansas School of Law. Appreciate you being here, Jamie. Thanks so much. She's got her daughter here. Outstanding. Appreciate Judy Henry as always, too. Summerwood Sports, thanks to the Hendricks family. Most amazing sports complex in Central Arkansas, located in Bryant. If you want to have a basketball, volleyball, whatever, when it comes to practice, parties, whatever, call Summerwood Sports. They'll take great good care of you. The Hendricks family is outstanding. Double B's, Steve Lytle, GM Ed Light, Gas It, Grab It, and Go. 34 locations across the state, one of the premier companies in this state. We appreciate them. Sissy's Log Cabin, they've been around 54 years, since 1970, thanks to Bill and Sherry Jones. Roller Funeral Homes, I mentioned Renata Jenkins Byler lost her mom last week. Glad to have them back today, and we love Renata, and we hate to see her lost last week, but we appreciate her support. The Hatcher Agency, Greg Hatcher. Greg, thanks so much for making sure to go and get Kelly today. It was a great trip. Your new daughter-in-law, Morgan Morris, used to cheer and dance with Kelly's daughter. So great to see that connection, and couldn't do this without Greg. Hatcher Agency, Hatcher Capital Investment, Scoops, Twin City Limo. And did I hear correctly that Maddie, your daughter Maddie, got engaged last night? Another wedding. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go, Greg. Hey, congratulations. That's what you do, buddy. Also, Vantage Service Company. I don't know what that's all about. I'm an only child with no kids, so I don't know. I just congratulate all my buddies to say good job. Vantage Service Company, Kevin Brooks, Matt Bailey. One Call Does It All. Residential and commercial sales and service for HVAC. All your electrical needs. 35 years in the business. They're outstanding. Really appreciate Kevin and Matt and all the folks at Vantage. Good people. Simmons Bank Arena. We got. Listen, I know that you're a big pop culture person. Kelly, you love music, you love movies, you all that. We've got Maroon 5 coming up November 9th. You got Alabama with the Marshall Tucker Band November 15th. Raleigh Green, November 22nd. You got Chicago. Just so many great concerts. Thanks to Michael Marion and Janet DeGeorge. Appreciate them. Pulaski County Farm Bureau, Todd Dennis and Stephen Rockert. Appreciate their support of the Touchdown Club. War Memorial Stadium, the Old Gray Lady. Thank you for all you guys do. John Latch, Mark Pike, Kevin Crass, Shay Lewis. The Democrat Gazette, Wally Hall, Amanda Copley. We've got an amazing player of the week. Wait till you hear the numbers on our high school player of the week. One of the all-time greatest performances in a week for a high school football player. We'll mention him coming up next. 103.7 The Buzz. Kelly just jumped on with DJ and Justin. Appreciate them being here every week. We're the only Touchdown Club that broadcasts our speakers live every week throughout the year. We appreciate 103.7 The Buzz. AY Media, got to give props to Heather Baker. If you haven't seen this yet, Now, Kelly was a little, so Heather asked me, said, do you think that Kelly will approve of the cover? And I said, let me tell you, I'm 62. If you had a picture of me when I was playing football for the Razorbacks, you put on the magazine cover, I'd be fine with it, right? You good with it? Yeah, so it's a great article. Dwayne Hebden does a great job. Thanks so much, Heather, for doing such a great piece. And you approved of it, right? You did. You loved it. And so she also did one on Jimmy Johnson at the beginning of the year, which was outstanding. So we appreciate Heather's support of the Touchdown Club. Thank you so much. Arkansas PBS, we got the best PBS group in America back in the back. I appreciate Anita and Brian and Kevin, Tanisha, all the folks, and Carlton, of course. Thank you so much. And Alicia Dover with JF Media Marketing. She got a chance to spend some time with Kelly today on the plane ride coming up to Little Rock. So thank you so much, Alicia, for your support of the Touchdown Club with JF Media Marketing. The Doubletree Hotel, even though we're not here today, we appreciate them. Sunbelt Convention Services, Tim Glasscock. Rockstar Passes, Brad Rickett and Joey Gonzalez for doing all these pop-ups. And, of course, our newest sponsors, we want to thank them. Midtown Plumbing. They started small in 2013. They're based in Benton. Haley and Jim Coleman and Kyle Jackson, a woman-owned business. We appreciate them so much. Thank you, Midtown Plumbing. Arkansas Surgical Hospital. You've seen some of the information on your tables there. 41 private patient suites with separate rooms while your patient or your loved one recovers. 13 state-of-the-art operating rooms. And last but not least, Arkansas Spine and Pain. Dr. Amir Qureshi, we love him, Dr. Q, as they call him. Scott Davis, great doctor, 6 different cities. Benton, Jacksonville, Conway, Little Rock, Searcy. Let's give all of our sponsors a big round of applause for sponsoring the Touchdown Club. Now, Kelly, when I used to play as a linebacker, when I was a lot lighter, about 40 pounds lighter, I didn't sweat like I do now. But everybody comes, they know I sweat. So this just don't worry about me. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. Right, Leslie? I'm going to be okay out there. Right, Jessica? I'm going to be okay. Our Touchdown Club team, Dwayne Duncan, it will take photos of everybody after this meeting with Kelly. He's amazing. Chris Kane, RJ Hawk, Steve Sullivan, KATV, Steve Qualls, Design Lab T-shirts, Davis Ford with our setup, and our amazing Touchdown Club volunteer team. One of the things I love about Kelly, if you listen to any interview that Kelly does, she talks about her team. You always talk about your team. Your team has been the same folks for 30 years because they're great at what they do. Well, we have the best volunteer team who comes up here and gives 2-3 hours every week. Don't get paid, but they're here like at 8 or 9 o'clock, and that's why we're one of the best in the country, led by our executive director, Debbie. Let's give all of our volunteers a big round of applause. All right, for our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week, it's some gaudy numbers. Let's get it up for our state representative, RJ Hawk, everybody.
Thank you, David. Now, for those of you that aren't used to coming to the Touchdown Club, this is a moment that we really enjoy doing because it gets to highlight kids in our community, right? And so I'm really proud about this one because I'm a Saline County guy, and this guy comes to us from Benton, Arkansas, and it's Drew Davis, the senior quarterback. Now, y'all, a couple weeks ago, whenever we got these numbers in, I thought they were video game numbers. I thought that there's no way the Benton Panthers scored 87 points in a ball game, right? But they did. They beat Sheridan 87-42 in that game. And Drew Davis was 26 of 36 for 435 yards and 8 touchdowns. And he said, you know what, that wasn't good enough. He goes, I want to run the ball a little bit too. So he ran the ball 4 times for 63 yards and another touchdown. So he had 9 total touchdowns in an 87-42 win over Sheridan. Well, now fast forward a week, right? And so they go down to El Dorado. They make the 3-hour drive, and they beat El Dorado 60-36 in that game. And Drew Davis threw for 284 yards and 3 touchdowns, ran the ball for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. So in 2 weeks, he's thrown for 719 yards and 11 touchdowns. He's run the ball for 141 yards and 3 touchdowns. And his mom and dad are here, and his mom came over to me, and she says, we're so proud of Drew. But, you know, one thing that we're really proud about, he's currently sitting on career touchdown pass number 99. So this Friday night, when they take on Catholic, he has a chance to get career number 100 touchdown pass in his high school career. And better yet, 2 years ago, his sophomore year, right, or 3 years ago, I guess it was, he was honored by the Little Rock Touchdown Club as Player of the Week when they got ready to play Catholic in that game. So they play Catholic this Friday night. His mom, dad, offensive coordinator are all here. Your All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week is Drew Davis from Benton.
All right, next up, for those who've never been to the Touchdown Club, I know we've got some newbies. So next up is a guy named Rex Nelson. So if you don't know what's getting ready to happen, you're just going to have to hold on. So hold on. He's going to give a recap of the weekend in football quickly and efficiently and with plenty of jokes. But he will also tell you where all the games are happening the rest of the week. He's been doing it. We've been doing it for 21 years. Exactly right. Give it up for Rex Nelson, everybody.
Thanks so much, David. We do have a lot of new faces in the room, and I join David in inviting you back. We have done this recap since our first meeting, when we started more than 2 decades ago. And for those of you who are new, I think it's important that we explain we're a football club. As you just saw, we support high school football. I lead with the Razorbacks, but this is not a Razorback club. This is a football club. We have 2 football bowl subdivision teams in Arkansas. We have 2 football championship subdivision teams in Arkansas, 6 Division II teams, 2 Division III teams, and 1 NAIA team. We have 13 college football teams in the state of Arkansas, and we talk about them all. But David's got me on the clock, so we talk about them very quickly. We'll start with the bad news. Arkansas falls 45-42 to Texas A&M. Hogs had more than 500 yards of offense, but yet again, no defense. Where's old number 53 when you need him? Arkansas falls to 2-5 overall, 0-3 in the SEC, 5 straight losses. And what's maddening for Razorback fans, 4 of those 5 losses have been 1-score games. They've all been winnable. Arkansas outgained the Aggies 527 to 497, had no turnovers. Offense was great. But the defense, the Aggies scored on 7 of their 9 possessions. A&M is now 7-0 for the first time since 1994. Here's what's really maddening, David. You know this. They're 8-0 in 1-score games against Arkansas ever since Bobby Petrino's 2011 team came back from a 17-point deficit to win 42-38. Most of those games at Jerry World, but just maddening. Aggies are 13-1 in games against Arkansas since joining the SEC. That's 3 consecutive Aggie wins in Fayetteville, though. 2025, 2013, 1990. Last time Hogs beat the Aggies in Fayetteville, 1988. All right, we move on. UAPB falls to 3-4 overall, 1-2 in the SWAC. 2016 loss to Grambling. Grambling, after a 2-hour weather delay, scores the go-ahead touchdown with just 1:42 left in that game in Pine Bluff. Division II, Harding, ranked number 2 in the country, may well win its 2nd national championship in 3 years. They moved to 7-0, 35-10 win at 5-2 Henderson. Harding only led 7-3 at halftime, then they turned it on. Get this stat. Andrew Miller broke the school's single-game rushing record with 298 yards rushing on 21 carries for Harding and 4 touchdowns. Ouachita, home of Cliff Harris, Kelly, wins its 3rd consecutive game, 45-10 at UAM. In his first start, freshman Trey Nichols out of Arlington, Texas, had 142 yards rushing and 184 yards passing. That gives him, now the Ouachita starter broke his collarbone the previous week in the first quarter. So this kid has only played 7 quarters. In those 7 quarters, he has 641 yards of offense. Ouachita has outscored its opponents 73-17 in those 7 quarters with a true freshman. I'm just scared about a portal now. Somebody paying money since Chambliss from Division II is doing so well at Ole Miss. Now, we've got great mascots, by the way, Kelly, in Arkansas. UAM, I just mentioned, they're the Boll Weevils. These next 2 teams are the Mule Riders against the Wonder Boys. The Southern Arkansas Mule Riders moved to 6-1 with a 42-7 win over 4-3 Arkansas Tech in the Murphy USA Classic in El Dorado. Now down to Division III, Hendrix is 3-3, 1-1 in conference, a 50-48 loss to Texas Lutheran, which scored on a 4-yard TD pass on the final play of the game to break Hendrix's heart. One of our former speakers is a Texas Lutheran graduate. Do you remember that trivia, David? You know that one? Vern Lundquist is a Texas Lutheran graduate. Lyon College is 1-4, 0-2 in conference, a 23-20 overtime loss to Centenary in overtime. Arkansas Baptist is 3-5, 1-4 in conference, a 35-14 loss to Panhandle State out of Oklahoma. What a great week in the SEC. 8 conference games last week. How about Vanderbilt 31, LSU 24? Vanderbilt is 6-1 for the first time since 1950. First win over LSU since 1990. LSU had won 10 straight in that series. At 6 weeks now, this is the longest run in the program's history in the AP poll. They've been ranked in the AP poll for 6 straight weeks. What I love is that ESPN Game Day is going to Vanderbilt. The last time they were at Vanderbilt, some of the greatest signs ever. 2 I remember. You got to love academic schools. 2 I remember. One is, "Quite please, we are trying to study." And another great sign they had, "Would you please move? We're trying to get into the library." So we'll see what the signs look like this time around. Georgia, 43, Ole Miss 35. Georgia trailed 35-26 at the start of the 4th quarter of that game. Ole Miss, first loss, they're 6-1, 3-1 in conference. Georgia's 6-1 and 4-1. Texas struggles. Freeze's team, and if Arkansas beats Auburn this week, I expect Hugh Freeze is gone on Sunday, actually. The pressure is on down there. Billy Napier already out at Florida after a win. Boy, this is a tough business these days, and it just wasn't enough of a win, 23-21 over Mississippi State, so he's gone with the Gators at 3-4 overall, 2-2 in conference. By the way, Mississippi State has now lost 15 consecutive SEC games. Oklahoma beat South Carolina. John Mateer passed for 150 yards and a touchdown after that poor showing he'd had the week before in the Red River rivalry, a 23-6 loss to Texas. So listen to this in the AP poll. A&M number 3, Alabama number 4, Georgia number 5, Ole Miss number 8, Vanderbilt number 10 in the top 10 for the first time since 1947. OU number 13, Missouri number 15, Tennessee number 17, LSU number 20, Texas number 22. Now this week, Auburn at Arkansas, Georgia Southern at Arkansas State, Southern Arkansas at Ouachita, UAM at Harding, Henderson at Arkansas Tech, Lyon at Hendrix, our 2D3s playing each other. I know it's going to rain on Saturday, David. I've seen the forecast. You're not going to melt. You're not made of sugar, whether you think you are or not. So No excuses. Games in Fayetteville, Jonesboro, Arkadelphia, Searcy, Russellville, and Conway. Get out and see a college football game on Saturday. Thanks, everybody.
I see some folks who haven't been here say, what just happened? What just happened? You have to go back and watch that on tape. There's only one Rex Nelson. By the way, I didn't see this, Kelly. Oh, my goodness. Wow, look at that. Holy cow. That thing should be up in your bathroom somewhere. I don't know. Outstanding picture. Very nice. We got some special guests here before we bring Kelly up. I want to recognize, you know, I've done the Brules Award for 30 years now. I'm so glad to have Molly Harrell, the granddaughter of Frank Brules, who's taken over the Brules Award, celebrating 30 years. Molly, great to have you here today, and excited to have 30 years of the Brules Award. Yes. Thank you so much for being here. Kelly, you may know Randy Land, who is Mr. Furniture here in Arkansas, but he has cooked more steaks for Dallas Cowboy football players than anybody in the history of mankind. Where's Randy at? Let's get it for Randy Land, who is the official steak cooker. He's one of the best in America cooking steaks. He's right over there, Kelly. There he is, right over there. I'm sure you've eaten one of his steaks. It's so cool to have two of your former cheerleaders here today, Kelly. I know that's one of the cool things about when you go around. You've done this for long enough to where, just like a football coach, when you see your former players, you love to see them. These are both Arkansans. First, we have Christy Ramsey, who graduate of Joachim Robinson, cheered for junior high school and high school at 1992. There she is. There she is. Danced for ULR Trojans in Motion 1992 to 1994. She danced for the Cowboys in 1994. Anita, will you show me the picture real quick? Let's look at Christy in 1994. Whoa, there she is. Right there. Let's go. Let's go. You know I was going to show that. Come on. So Christy's a Little Rock girl. And next we have Wendy Newman Hickenbotham, who cheered for the Cowboys for 4 years, 1990 through 1993. Let's give it up for her, Wendy in the back. Let's see, Anita. Let's see the picture of Wendy when she was there for 4 years. Boom, there she is. Look at there. Superstar. Love it, love it. So great to have both of them there. I know everywhere you go, Kelly, that's something you take a lot of pride in, seeing all the girls. And they've spoke so highly of you and talked and told me some other things about how tough you are, but that's okay. Also, too, we've got a couple dance schools here today. We want to recognize, led by Kristen Pittman, Rock City Dance. Ladies, stand up. Let's give it up for them. Where are they at? Come on, stand up, ladies. Boom. Let's give it. There we go. There we go. Let me tell you what. You dang straight you're out of school. Old 53 is helping you out today. Glad to have you here. And also led by Carissa McDonald, the Arkansas Dance Center. Please stand up. Let's give them a round of applause, ladies. Thank you, ladies. Great to be here. Great to have you here. Also, the way I look at it, Kelly, is when I invited Kelly to be here, let me tell you what, Kelly was one of the hardest gets I've ever had. I've done Peyton Manning, Jimmy Johnson, Brett Favre, Terry Bradshaw, you name it, goes on, Ray Lewis. But she pushed me so hard to get her here. It's like, she goes, David, I'm not coming. I can't do it. And I kept coming back, didn't I? Kept coming back. And so what I'm so excited about, and thanks to Greg Hatcher, I want to say thanks to Greg for allowing this to happen, is that you brought some of your dearest friends and your family. And so, to me, that's what it's all about. And so I want to recognize those folks today. First of all, Kelly's husband, Joel Finglass. Let's give it up for Joel Finglass. Worked for the Cowboys for 30 years. Helped Jerry get that thing going in the right direction. Her son, Ryan Finglass, even though he's an A&M graduate, we're going to forgive him for that. Let's give it up for Ryan Finglass, everybody. He's a financial advisor. His girlfriend, Amanda Brunick, she's a USC grad. Let's give it up for Amanda Brunick. Thank you, Amanda, for being here. One of Kelly's dearest friends, Marla Payne. Marla, great to have you here today. Let's give it up for Marla. And last but not least, a guy that you may recognize the last name, He is the father of Hudson Clark, who used to play defensive back for the Razorbacks. He's from Dallas. He was a walk-on, outstanding young man. He played at Arkansas right after me. His father is a coach that's in the Arkansas High School Sports Hall of Fame, longtime coach at Berryville, just a class act. But Hudson Clark was really one of my favorite players. Just a great young man, just a classic guy, great grades, but great to have Travis Clark, everybody. Give it for Travis. So great to have all of you here today. So really excited. This is a little bit different than what we normally do. Normally we honor the greatest players to ever play the game. We honor the greatest coaches to ever play the game. But we honor somebody today that's taking a franchise, a legacy to another level. And I just found out today that Kelli Finglass, I don't know if it's official or not, has been submitted to the NFL Hall of Fame as a possible candidate. How about that? Wow. Before I forget, Kelli, you have to pivot, right? I want to welcome our governor could not be here today. Sarah Huckabee Sanders wanted to be here today. She couldn't. But we've got our lieutenant governor, Leslie Rutledge. Where's Leslie at? Give it up for Leslie Rutledge. Our lieutenant governor's here today. And our Attorney General, Tim Griffin. How about that? How about that? You see, they're at opposite tables, but I'm not going to say anything about that. Love them both. Love them both. Love them both. But we're so glad to have you here today, Kelli. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to dive into this. Steve Sullivan, who does all of our intros, he said, this is a challenge, Baz. I hope I can do this right. But I think he did a great job. And take a look at the introduction for our special guest, Kelli Finglass.
It was 1984 when an accomplished dance student at TCU made a decision that would change not only her life, but also the sport that has become her life's work. Yes, it was 41 years ago that Kelli Finglass became a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. She spent 5 years as a Cowboys cheerleader. It was 2 years later that Charlotte Jones put Kelli in charge. Kelli has made an iconic American franchise a thriving business, a worldwide sensation. To date, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders have made over 85 USO tours spanning over 40 countries. CMT's hit series, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders Making the Team, was the network's longest and most watched series, and their Netflix specials have risen to the top of the streaming channel's most watched list. And Kelli has become America's dance team director.
Okay, I'm giving Serena an A+ on content, but no on the kicks. But I like you, Serena.
Please welcome the first Dallas Cowboys cheerleader to be invited back for a 5th season without an audition. She's America's dance team director, Kelli Finglass.
Check. There we go. Well, Kelli, listen. Was it just me, or was it? Did you make it tough for me to try to get you here? I mean,
I did, but the NFL did. My NFL schedule's so busy, I don't have any free weekends. But I tell you what, your Hall of Fame sells because you kept calling. And I'm really glad. I wanted to be here. I'm glad to be here, but you made it easy for me, and you allowed me to bring my family, and that was the game changer.
I'm really glad that makes it really special. I had to give a credit to my girlfriend, Jessica. She goes, hey, listen, one thing that you might think about this fall, have you ever watched America's Sweethearts, the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders? And I said, I had no idea what you're talking about. Now, I used to occasionally see CMT. You were showing CMT, but I had not watched the Netflix. And she goes, I think you might consider bringing her in. And RJ, you made the comment that I think you said, if we bring her in, we'll probably bring about 100, we'll have about 100 people there. Yes. So just so you know, he's a Texas guy too. So here's the deal. We brought in Jimmy Johnson and Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor, maybe the greatest player to ever play the game of football. Kelli Finglass sold more tickets than Lawrence Taylor.
And I have to do this while it's on my mind. Rex, you need some white boots, and you are a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader.
I love it.
You didn't take a breath. You didn't take a breath. You're impressive. Thank you for
Thank you.
lighting the room up.
Well, so you know, too, Kelly, so Rex, his father was one of the ones that was instrumental in giving Cliff Harris his only scholarship to Ouachita Baptist. And you know Cliff Harris. And Cliff, we have the trophy here. We do the Small College Defensive Player of the Year. We've done it for 12 years. We always go to the Star, and we bring our winners from Division II, Division III, and NAIA, and it just opens their eyes. So here's a thought. What about if we've done this for 3 or 4 years? What about we work together, and maybe we also have an appearance of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, 1 or 2, with these young men who are winning this amazing award. Let's work together for this.
It'd be outstanding. It'd be outstanding,
well,
yes.
Let's do that. I think I would love to do that. And Cliff's a great guy. And Cliff's one of the reasons that the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders are what they are today. You've said that many times. First, let's talk about, we're so glad that you beat the Washington Commanders on Sunday. So that was a positive.
It was a good one.
44-22, so that's outstanding. We wouldn't want to have you here after a loss because that's why you couldn't come on Monday. It's just too much. You have too busy of a day on Monday. So you said, David, if you'll do this thing on Tuesday, we'll do it. And I'm just saying it, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders and you guys are on fire. I mean, you guys are on fire. I mean, everywhere you look, social media-wise, it's really remarkable. And you've got a great story. But the first thing I want to talk about is that the fact that you've got Arkansas connections. And so I didn't know that when I first reached out. And I love the story of your grandmother. So Anita, let's show some of the pictures of Grandma Polly. So this is Grandma Polly on the right. That's your mom behind, and that's your grandfather right there. And it's Cecil, right?
Yeah. Okay, way to make me cry right off.
So
Yeah, that's my grandfather, Cecil. My mother was the little one, Cecile, and Grandma Polly. And she's from Clinton. She was one of 7 from Clinton, Arkansas. And then they were in Little Rock. So as a young child, I would come to Little Rock for family reunions. She lived on Scott Street, 2411 Scott Street, and the Veterans Hospital was behind her. I remember that address because when we moved to Lindale in East Texas, I'd write my grandmother letters, good old-fashioned handwritten letters, and so her address is one of the few things I can still remember these days. She lived to be 100. She's a great lady.
I love the. So Anita, if you don't mind, just because I know how special she was, I saw the comments you made at her funeral. That was in Cabot. She's buried in Cabot. Anita, if you'll show me number 2, number 3. This is a picture of that's her to the left, Grandma Polly, and your mom to the right. You just see how much of a pistol she is. And the next picture is the one of you and your daughter, Samantha, your mom and grandmother. I love what she said. This is one of my favorite things. You said you learned everything with your grandmother, Grandma Polly. She taught you how to fish, how to garden, how to flirt, and how to burp.
It's all true. It took a Dr. Pepper, though. You had to drink a Dr. Pepper.
She lived to be 100 in the handwritten notes. And so we've offered that to Kelli today. If she wants to take her family to Cabot, we've offered to do that, or to Scott Street. We'd love to see that happen. Of course, the other connection is the Jerry Jones family. You know, I played football with Stephen Jones. Of course, back when I played, nobody knew who Jerry Jones was, to the most part. And so, obviously, you know, there's a great Arkansas connection. But you really don't get back to Arkansas very much. So this is a unique situation.
No, this is a real treat. It really is.
I love the fact that when talking about all the things that you've achieved, and for the young ladies in here, I want you to listen very closely. So you always say, every interview that I saw, everything goes back to Lindale High School. Goes back to you being a drum major. Goes back to you being a student council president. For those who don't know where Lindale is, it's right by Tyler, Texas, right?
Right.
And if you look at some of the people that have been there, Miranda Lambert is from Lindale. Dallas Holmes, for you gospel singers, the gospel fans. Patrick Holmes, the father of Pat Holmes, the father of Patrick Holmes, all out of Lindale. But you give a lot of credit. I want to show the picture, if you can, real quick, Anita, of you in your band suit. Number 4. Look at that right there. So that's where it all started. And there's one more shot of you leading the band. So you actually, and I'll do the same thing for me. I'll go back. My high school was the beginning of any success I share today. And it was for you. You talk about everything that you sort of do now started there.
It did. I am fortunate to have had great educators in my life, and one in particular was my band director. His name is Mr. Omni. And in Lindale, you were you wanted to be in the band. I know people call it band nerds and stuff, but in Lindale, even our football players were in our band. So I had my eyes set on being in the band. I played flute and piccolo, but this is a very small town, and we were known as the pride of Lindale, and we won every competition we ever entered. But I learned from Mr. Romney at a very young age the benefits of hard work, what excellence meant, what yard lines meant. I learned about music and scores and everything, and discipline and respect. And so to be now leading the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, it came very natural to me because I'd been trained in an environment of respect and hard work matters, music, performance, and stadium. But yeah, I'm still friends with his son, Travis. Mr. Romney passed away, and I had the privilege of speaking at his funeral. But yeah, if you're an educator in the room or a parent, my biggest, most important thing for my children and for me is my belief in educators. You literally, one teacher can change someone's life, a good teacher. So if there's any teachers in here, amen to you.
Yeah, I so love that, especially we've got teachers here that are coaching, and that I love that you always give credit to them. So from Lindale, you go to TCU, and I thought maybe for a minute when I was doing my research that I would have, so I played for the Razorbacks. We're about the same age, and so I thought maybe you were cheering at TCU when I played at Arkansas, but you transferred to North Texas before I got a chance to play you guys. And so North Texas, you got your degree in international marketing, and you became a cheerleader as a college student.
Yeah, I was a freshman at TCU. I was a dance major. Shout out to all the dancers over there. And then when I tried out for the Dallas Cowboys, thanks to a radio broadcaster that talked about the auditions on a radio, that's how I found out about the auditions. When I made the Dallas Cowboys, our first meeting, we were told you must reside in Dallas, Texas. And me being the rule follower that I was, took that literally, and I moved out of Fort Worth where TCU was and told my mom I'm dropping out of college. She was so pissed. But my dad was excited because I was going to the Cowboys. Anyway, I cheered for the Cowboys for 5 years, and I also had a part-time job. I worked for Kelli Services. Do you guys have Kelli Services here?
I remember it.
So I'm Kelli Services. This is Kelly. May I help you? Did that for 4 years, and then went back to school at North Texas, and that's when I decided, hey, I really like this business class. Again, one teacher, his name was Prakash. One teacher totally changed my trajectory in my college degree, which became marketing, international marketing.
By the way, too, when you were cheering for the Cowboys, we'll get to a little bit later, but they were not good years. You didn't have I think you had one winning season in those years, and you also got the front end of Jimmy Johnson. So you did get a chance to experience the positive, but you were still cheering. And I think you're the last cheerleader to ever be invited to come back without an audition, which you won't do anymore. You won't do that for your own students. You're the last one, and you'll make sure nobody else does that, right?
I have to cement my legacy.
You're in control of that. So I do want to do this real quick. So I know a lot of people in this room don't know a lot of history of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. So let's first, Anita, back in the back with Arkansas PBS, show us the picture of the current class, 2025-26, of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Most of the girls in here who watch the show know this group. It's a great group. I was able to watch them. The show is for the previous year. So, but let's go back to 1961, the first year of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. That's what you have right there. Let's go to the next one, 1964. 1967. And then all of a sudden, at this point, 1970, you saw a change. And so at this point, D. Brock was the original person who, again, we're standing on the shoulders of those before us. D. Brock was the first director. And you had high school students doing that, and they were all trying to do their best. And then all of a sudden, Tex Schramm, who you have to admit, Kelly was a visionary. He was a TV guy and said, I think we need to do more than the standard cheerleader that we know with what we see normally. Tell everybody sort of that transition that happened, and then the fact who he chose right in his own office to lead the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Well, D. Brock that you had in the picture was the original director, and she was an educator. She was a school teacher as well. She actually went on, she got her PhD in education, but she started online classes for the community colleges in Texas. We'd had the high school style dancers that went, it was a county, high school, Dallas County only tryouts. We had men a couple years, they renamed themselves the Bells and the Bows. That didn't go over so well. And then in 71, when the Cowboys went to a Super Bowl, Dee came back from New Orleans with younger than 18-year-olds, and she went to Mr. Schramm. We called him Schramm. She went to Mr. Schramm and said, I've got to have adults. They've got to be at least 18, and I want to have professional dancers, and I want my friend Texie Waterman from the Dallas Summer Musicals to choreograph them. And Texie was a Broadway-style dancer, red hair, very sexy. She'd smoke cigarettes at our practice. We just thought that was so cool. But she hired Texie and said, I'll split my paycheck with you. I think Dee said she made $500 a year because it was a little part-time gig. And Texie and Tex and Dee, the three of them, joined minds, hired a designer, started the uniform that is still worn today, and now is in the Smithsonian Institute. But that's when we changed the look. Go-go boots, beautiful dancers with kind of a Texas sexy style about them.
Well, let's show Anita. In 1972, this was the second Super Bowl. That was the first group. I think there were 7, right? You had had 60 tryout, had 7. These were your finalists, and all of a sudden, I'm telling you, for guys like me, when I was, I don't know how old, I was 8 or 9, I was like, all right, I'm paying attention now to the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And so I'm sure they probably caught some grief at that time because nobody had done anything like that, to have the dance and have, as opposed to the standard cheer and those uniforms. But Tex Schramm also realized, and he was smart, he got, Suzanne Mitchell, which was your, and it just, I think it's amazing, people who have vision to say, hey, I think we can do something different. And I'm sure they were probably criticized at the time, but this is what I love about the 70s, and you've always said it. What happened in the 70s in Dallas? First of all, our friend Cliff Harris and Roger Staubach went to 5 Super Bowls in 10 years. What was the #1 TV show in America? Dallas, 1978. Who had the star on their helmet? Dallas did, America's team. You even had made-for-TV movies. I was trying to think. Jane Seymour was in a Dallas Cowboy made-for-TV movie. So you guys exploded. The Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders exploded in the 70s.
Yeah, that is exactly what happened. We had a very famous poster, and I think I saw one here today. It was 1977. Then we had 2 made-for-television movies, plus the cheerleaders did The Love Boat. That was a huge good time back then. And yeah, everything that was glamorous and larger than life was Dallas, Texas.
You were a Texas girl. Obviously, you were in Lindale. Did that impact you to go, oh my gosh, I want to be a part of that? Was that influential?
I remember seeing the cheerleaders on a movie. At the time, I had my sights on a crown. I wanted to be Miss America. Okay. That didn't quite work out. But yeah, I mean, I saw the cheerleaders on television, but I didn't really see myself as making it. They seemed too pretty and too glamorous and too far away from my reach.
But I love the fact, I showed you some of the pictures. Let's go to 1988, Anita, number 12. Let's look and see if you recognize, go to the very bottom of the photo. There's Kelli Finglass right there at the bottom. That was 1988. And then the next shot is we saw that in the, so listen, can I tell you again, I see nothing the matter with that big hair. So that was in the 80s. Yes,
Final net hairspray, way too much.
So this, I think, is what interesting. So you cheer for 5 years, you finish, and you decide you end up going to work for the Cowboys. That was a transition that was happening from Tom Landry, which was, listen, I met Tom Landry. He was an amazing guy. It was sort of tough, but you felt that Jerry Jones needed to know the facts about the Cowboys, and you asked if you could have a meeting with him, and you had a vision then, maybe what the Cowboy cheerleaders could do.
It was a little more adversarial than that. Jerry had just bought the team. I had left. I'd retired, rather. My director, Suzanne Mitchell, was gone. Tex Schramm was gone. We had new ownership. Then Tom Landry was released. And there were, I think, 14 veteran cheerleaders that had a meeting with some management. and that had also already exited the scene, and they were walking, they were quitting. And they literally walked, I lived across the street from our headquarters in Valley Ranch, and they literally walked across the street to my apartment in tears about leaving the Cowboys, and I could tell none of them really knew why. Nobody knew why, and I was like, who told you what? Did you talk to Mr. Jones and this and that? So to make a long story short, they asked me if I would go meet with him. So I did. I called the offices. His secretary's name is a gal from Little Rock, Carol Paget, and I asked if I could have an appointment with him, and I did, and I went over to meet with him, not to get a job, but to be a protector, a guardian of the tradition of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, and explain what it meant and how many people it impacted, and nobody wanted anything to change. They wanted to stay true to who the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders were. And we had a nice meeting, and then I left, and my job was done. And then the director, the interim director, she actually left as well, so there were transitions. People don't like change. And then they called me and hired me for assistant director. And then I did that for 1 year. And then there was this guy coming in to start a sales and marketing department. They were bringing in a guy from the Kansas City Chiefs. And I still wanted to do marketing. My bucket was full with cheerleading and dance. So I went and interviewed with this guy. His name was Joel Finglass. Oops. And the only thing, I thought the interview went great, but I thought he talked funny because he was from Baltimore. So I met Joel and went to work in Joel's sales and marketing team alongside with Travis 30 years ago, right? And we sold, now we are Team Jerry. We are selling everything.
I was going to ask, when your first impression of Jerry Jones, were you like, even though you had the Arkansas connection, did you like Jerry? Did you say, this guy gets it, he's got a great mind? What was your impressions of Jerry in those early years?
Oh, I loved him. I mean, he's contagious. He lit the room up. You knew exciting things were going to happen. I mean, you can't deny that. No, I was fortunate to have been, again, Kelli from Lindell, from a very disciplined home and education. I was suited right for being a cheerleader under Suzanne's directorship and Tech Schramm. I was yes ma'am, thank you. And then when Jerry comes blazing through town, and I'm also developing a career, how great was it to get to work where there were not rules, we were just making things happen. Everyone in our roles were new. All the department heads were new, and there were no no's. We sold barbecue sauce. Yeah, we were selling tickets, but we sold barbecue sauce. I remember Jerry decided he wanted to have a flea market. Remember that? And because he'd been to Pasadena, California, and saw the world's largest flea market, and we're the sales department, so guess what? Now we're selling space, booth space. And I loved it, but then we all realized this might not be such a good idea. Pasadena's in California. This is August, and it's on asphalt in a parking lot at Texas Stadium. We sold it, though. We sold it successfully, but it was... I liked selling football better.
You've told the story about the first meeting you had your yellow pad, and Jerry was in the room, and Jimmy Johnson's, who we had a few weeks ago at the Touchdown Club, but you had your yellow pad and you had your vision. It's not like you were starting from scratch. You had a reputable, really, a high-profile group, but you had your vision. What do you remember about that meeting with that first meeting?
I remember Jerry told me that do my job and everything else that comes. And that's exactly what I've been doing now, all those everything else's. But I did have a business role of trying to move the cheerleaders out of the red. We were a cost center. We were losing $250,000 every year. So I remember getting an old accounting ledger sheet, kind of that green and white paper with the little perforations on the sides. And I just thought, okay, what can I do to minimize expenses and maximize revenue and stay true to what I believe the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders' mission is in terms of community service and character building and world-class entertainment. But I also knew we had great teachers, great dance teachers like Wendy and Christy, who are here today. I knew we could teach dance, so we started youth dance camps. I knew dance competitions and cheer competitions were a huge industry, so we started a competition. I knew the girls could model, so we'd started doing swimsuit and more photography-based projects. I saw Sports Illustrated saying they had the most beautiful women in sports, and I'm like, bull. Those are $50,000 a day models you're hiring and wearing a string of bikini. I've got the most beautiful women in sports, and they really are in sports. We're going to do a calendar, and we're going to take on Sports Illustrated, and we did. And then our auditions, a big game changer was I knew that our auditions showcased beautiful, beautiful talent, and the girls are very technical dancers that compete with beautiful costumes and solos. And we had our local television that did a cable show on our auditions, but I wanted people to see the talent in our auditions. And that's actually how the CMT show started. And that was 16 seasons of television real estate that was a big success for our organization.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. But by the way, you know, Jimmy Johnson was here, had a monster crowd, had a great connection with everything in Arkansas. I told him you were coming today, and said that you had sold more tickets than Lawrence Taylor, and that we were going to be honoring you today, just having a sellout crowd. So he sent a quick video. At number 18, Anita, if you can, a quick little message from our buddy Jimmy Johnson, former Razorback and Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl champion.
Kelli, congratulations. I just want to say one thing. Dallas is known as America's team as much for the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders as what it is for the football team. Congratulations again.
So Jimmy knows your value.
Thank you.
So yeah, let's start to talk about that. So CMT, I remember occasionally watching on CMT. I thought, well, okay, you know, that was sort of fun. You know, and you were on there. You're the longest running program on CMT. And I love the fact that means something to you.
It definitely did. Coach Johnson, man, you talk about a winner. I am blessed to even be in the same room with him. And he's a Razorback, right?
He's a Razorback, that's right. So you did 60 seasons with CMT, but the game changer was Netflix. And for those who don't know, we got a clip. Now, if you're watching this online, if you're listening to it on the buzz, you'll be able to hear it. In the room, you'll hear it, you'll see it. If you're watching on the stream, you won't be able to see it or hear it because it'll kick us off the air. But for those who maybe have not seen the show, this is the 2-minute promo that Netflix did for this past year. It gives you a sort of a snapshot of what this show is all about and why America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders, has become the top 10 watched Netflix program in 27 countries. Anita, if you will. That is well done. So I just was wondering, when you met with Netflix, did you feel, you go, oh my goodness, they want to go deeper. They want to get the stories behind that these, all of our cheerleaders that maybe CMT didn't do. Did you know what was going to happen? Did you sense it when you do the deal?
No. It was definitely different. With CMT, I was much more in the saddle with the director and the producer. And I mean, I'd say, hey, there's this gal from Little Rock, and here's her story, and she's very interesting. But with Netflix, I had zero editing, nothing in post. So if they said it, you're going to see it. And actually, I saw a lot of things and learned a lot of things for the first time on the show. When I watched that teaser, it kind of makes my heart race because, these are 36 lives that are on our team, and what you wouldn't know when you're watching that show, but now you do, is one's battling a disease where she suffers from hair loss. And one of our girls I don't mind saying it, she wouldn't mind because it's in the show. One of our girls, I would see her in the locker room taking collect calls from a father who's incarcerated. So these girls have overcome a lot to make the team, and the show told it. And where I've spent my entire career trying to make the cheerleaders look flawless, I suddenly learned that telling the truth and sharing your flaws will resonate and impact more lives in a positive way if they see something they can relate to. So that's why I'm a believer in the show. They did show our little Shih Tzu, who today's her birthday, Maisie. Our Shih Tzu's a TV star now. But they showed like this ridiculous scene of me chasing my Shih Tzu around trying to bathe her. So there's some fun human moments, but the tough moments are tough for me to watch back, to be honest.
The first year, not this year, but last year, for those who follow, because we do this on our radio show, we look at Rotten Tomatoes, that, the fan voting on how good a movie is or whatever. You scored 100%. That first year.
Really?
I did.
I've never
the
looked
first year,
it up.
100%. I've never seen that. So it obviously captivated people. You got numbers back that said, again, I just said that 27 countries, it's not just the U.S., 27 countries, top 10, multiple countries, number one, 300 million, right, Ryan? 300 million subscribers to Netflix, 400 now. This is not just an American hit. This is, international. And so part of it, too, I was wondering, I watched every episode this summer. I said, Jessica, if I'm going to bring her in, I'm going to watch it all. And so it's easy to get hooked. But I'm going to be honest. I got mad a couple times.
I have felt that anger. One in particular, Charlie and Kelli, both didn't make it a couple years ago. Charlie's from California. Kelly's from Weehawken, New Jersey. I just loved finally figuring out how to pronounce Weehawken. So now... but they didn't make it, and their cuts are documented in the show. And then they came back this year, and they both made it. They're great. There are what we call our comeback girls. Now we have a live show that's on stage, and Kelli and Charlie do a duet together, and it's just beautiful. Wendy Newman, they can almost dance as good as you on those USO tours, but nobody's replaced Wendy's solos.
Well, I will tell you the thing. I was captivated by all the girls, but the thing that got me really wound up, I couldn't believe I was getting mad. I actually had a result. I had a feeling like, is that the girls were working 3 jobs. They came to you for more money, and you guys just sort of shut them down. And I remember thinking, I sort of know where you were coming from, because I'm that guy who used to play in the 1980s compared to like the guys today making all this money. And I was like, you don't make any money, you just get your education. So I was like that, and then I sort of felt bad. It's like, but you know what? You probably deserved it back then. You deserved that money back then, and they didn't do it. And so I was so mad. I'm thinking, I'm going to be mad if this ends this way with these girls not getting any money. I was like, is this the way this thing's going to end? But it didn't end that way. It was a 400% pay raise, and these girls, maybe they didn't get to enjoy it, but they stood their ground, and I thought that was great. I know you were proud of that as well.
I am, and Jada, who you just showed in that teaser, I've done a lot of press with the cheerleaders on this show, and I sat side by side to girls and almost took a back seat listening to them answer all these questions from the media. And Jada said something so simple to me that has just stuck in my mind forevermore. And when asked about the pay raise, she said, I just did what my mother taught me when I was a little girl. All they can say is no. Why be afraid to ask? Just ask. So I actually learned from my cheerleader now 35 years into my career what the value of advocating for yourself can really mean. Sometimes it's literally just asking the right time to the right people and the right tone, but they did, and we're all happy, and they're all better for it. They're amazing women.
Yeah, I love that because they worked very hard. I'm sure you did too back in the day. I mean, you were basically doing it because you loved it. You weren't doing it for the money, and I love the fact that that's changed now. And I hope you got a raise too, by the way. Listen, we love Jerry, we love Steven, but we did see the latest Forbes ranking, $12 billion the Cowboys are worth. You know, you came in with an objective that first meeting. You did not want it to be a cost center for the Cowboys. So that was your agenda, which makes sense. But at the same time, you know, Jerry is so brilliant. You know, he's made that thing the most, you know, wealthiest, most profitable sports franchise in the history of mankind. So I'm glad you guys are able to share, and I hope you are sharing as well. Just saying. Just want to get that in there, Jerry, Steven. I love those guys. I did want to say, there's so many great places we can go.
And you did say this is being broadcast live right now, right?
It is.
I
That was
forgot
me
to
talking.
screen my stories.
It was me talking, Jared. We only got a few minutes left, and I did a couple things real quick I want to do. First of all, you've been able to chance to choreograph a lot of shows. I know you love pop culture. I know you love music. I know you love Queen and Brian May. To be able to do a show with him, how cool is that? And Adam Lambert. But if you can, let's go to the, let me see if I've got the number there. This is my favorite, number 16, if we can. This was my favorite that you choreographed this show. And how about Dolly Parton? How about Dolly Parton? That is, what is she, 70? What is she, 70? I don't know what she is, but let me tell you what, that's pretty impressive.
She's 78 in that picture. Yeah. And her stylist is a guy named Steve Summers, and he's amazing, and he has just exquisite attention to detail. And this goes back to my drum major days, but I'm a little OCD on detail, and I was talking with him about our pink, our tones of pink. It's a very specific Pantone color, and every time somebody produces a fabric, our pink is wrong. And I was talking to him, and he goes, I completely understand. The pink has to be right. So we got along just candidly, but I was sending him pieces of our uniform for fabrication. He said they were going to do something Cowboys inspired. So I thought Dolly might be, I sent him a star, I sent him a belt, I sent him our belt buckle, and then finally he wanted to see the white fabric, so I sent him the vest and the shorts. But I thought he was going to make Dolly like a little jumpsuit or something. Elvis kind of meets Dolly. We didn't know she had a mechanical unit that was rising her up for the halftime. We didn't know till Dolly came out on her lift that she was literally in every piece of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders uniform, piece by piece. The only thing he did there was he unhemmed the shorts, so she has a little bit of length. Everything else, that is all Dolly. Now, she did have, if you look at it close, she had kind of a fishnet nude middle kind of body,
right?
A little coverage, but it's sheer. That's her. That's all real. And she actually she bedazzled her fishnets. Yeah. So she was even extra. She was great. Beautiful to work with.
So as we wrap things up here, a couple things. I love the couple of your sayings. You're passionate about excellence. Practice, prepare for what ifs. Is you ever practice too much? No way. Practice and preparation, just like football, that gets you excellence. When you're prepared, you're confident. You'll perform at your highest level. Those are all things that our Razorbacks should listen to and do that as well. I love the fact that for 9 years, you wrote Mattel. 9 years, you wrote Mattel to get the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders Barbie. You know what? Yeah. You got it.
We got it, and it sold out in 3 days.
9 years, wow.
They told me those were the days of good old-fashioned letters, and it was when we were winning these Super Bowl rings, and I wrote a letter to Mattel They said no. I wrote one the next year. Hey, we've won a Super Bowl. They said no again. Oh, you've got
right there.
one.
It's a Barbie right there. Yes.
So Mattel told me no for about 9 years, and then I was in my office, and we had fax machines at the time, and a fax letter had curled up and had hit the floor and was kind of hiding, basically. And my assistant, Rachel, at the time, she found it. She brought it to me, and it was from a guy named Robert Best. He was from Project Runway. He was a designer from Dallas, Texas. And it was a letter, and he was the designer of the Christmas Barbies. So if there's any Barbie enthusiasts in here, he was in charge of the collectibles. And he wrote me a letter and said, I've watched your TV show on CMT. I loved the uniform fittings episode. I love your attention to detail. Would you ever consider making a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader's Barbie? And I'm like, where have you been all my life? So I got to work with their designers. They have makeup artists. They have hairstylists. They had real fabric, real palm fabrication. It was fabulous. And so we made it. It was a limited edition, so hang on to that Barbie because they're sold out. No, I'm serious. They won't make any more. We made, I think there were 40,000 made. They sold out in 3 days. And now I have just a few in our closet at our headquarters that I give each year to a cheerleader for artistic excellence. Kind of our Grammy, our Heisman, our Super Bowl trophy is our Barbie.
I love what you said. If you have passion for something, don't stop. You just said keep fighting for what you believe in. If you feel that it's right, you have passion, you keep fighting. 9 years, I love that story. A couple questions from some of our young folks who are here today. Eden Hilker, 13-year-old Benton Junior High cheerleader. She says, if you could build the ideal Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, what are the top qualities she would possess? What are the most important qualities that you see in a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader?
Humility, faith, loving your teammates, and hard work. All of the ladies that make our team, they're very, very high achievers. They work very, very hard at their craft, but they are coming into a team environment and not an individual environment. So I would say humility, faith, hard work.
This is from Chloe Williams, 12 years old, Rock City Dance Center. So I presume the other Eden is from Arkansas Dance Center. This is from Chloe. What is the most important piece of advice that you have for 11 to 13-year-old girl dancers like me?
That's a sore subject for me right now, and it's social media. I've had my cheerleaders be brought to tears over things they've read on social media accounts. So for a young person, I don't care if you're a dancer or you're an electrician and that is your goal. This social media stuff is damaging. My cheerleaders are, if anybody knows Reddit, I tell them not to read Reddit. People are very mean. I mean, you talk about taking mean girls to the limit. So I've got a new genre, a new mantra that was just given to me by a preacher, and it's about posting online. And there's 3 rules. 1, is it true? 2, is it kind? 3, is it helpful? If what you're going to post or say is not true, helpful, and kind, don't post it. And for whatever you do, try not to read it. It's killing our youth. If you're a dancer, you go for it. You love that music. You stay in that music. You protect your own heart. That's what it is. It's Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, because everything you do flows from it. That's what I would tell young people. Ooh, I'm getting on my pulpit.
She's
Stop
preaching.
me.
She's preaching. All right, we're going to wrap up with this. And so, as I've gotten older, we're the same age. I get emotional up here very quickly, but I'm going to do it again if I'm not careful. Grandma Polly. So just looking. So this is what your comments were about her. She was the wise one in the family and the voice of logic and reason. She survived the Depression, outlived 3 husbands, was the oldest of 7 children, and was disease-free. She was feisty, strong, and funny. I learned everything with my grandmother, as I mentioned earlier, fishing, gardening, flirting, and burping. She was too large to worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit the presence of trouble. That is, I'm going to read that again. She was too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit the presence of trouble. Man, that is powerful. The things that I learned from my grandmother are part of my thoughts daily. The things that my grandmother said passed through my lips unconsciously. These are some of her favorite quotes, she said. She said, wear a good support bra from Sears to hold up your bosom.
Now you're really going there.
Yes, she said, never depend on a man. To find the best blackberries, you'll have to get a few ticks. Marry a man who will teach your children to respect you. Worrying won't do you any good but make you sick. And last, there was many others, but I'll end with it. A good beer and a burp are good for you every now and then. So, the way I look at this is that I love your passion. You had a vision. You've worked your butt off. And Judy, we haven't mentioned Judy Trammell. You mentioned your team. You can't do it without your team, but I'll give you credit. You have worked your butt off. You had a vision. You came out of high school. So girls, just a reminder, if you start right now, I don't care if you're in the 9th grade or 12th grade, the things that you do in the 9th and 12th grade will affect you when you're our age. Same thing I did in high school affect me or the reason I'm here today. And so anyway, I think it's a great example for you, your passion. You had a vision, and you have great people around you, which I think is wonderful. And I just want to say congratulations on a remarkable career. I mean, you've been doing this, since you've been cheering since the 80s, doing this since the 90s, and you've had a remarkable career. The fact that you have this many people, I hope you allow yourself to smell the roses. I'm glad your family's here with you today and your friends. And how about Kelli Finglass, everybody? Let's give it up for Kelli Finglass. That's right. Worthy of a standing ovation. Exactly right. All right. So here's the deal. We want our sponsors and our 50-yard line members to be first in line to do pictures with Kelli. And after that, anybody that wants to get pictures after that, no autographs. No autographs just because it takes too long to do autographs. Quick pictures.